this chart's just showing, what this is showing is if you get 1% better each day for a year, okay, so 1.01 to the 365th power, you get 37 times better by the end of the year, right? So that's this curve. If you get 1% worse, 0.99 to the 365th power, you drive yourself almost all the way down to zero. Now, a chart like this is just compound interest, right? This is just a compounding curve. And real life is not exactly like compound interest. You know, your habits are not exactly like this mathematical formula. But I think this chart does a good job of encapsulating what the process of behavior change feels like. You know, what it's like to try to get a little bit better each day. Because two things are true. These are the two things that stand out. First, any compounding curve, the hallmark of any compounding process is all the greatest returns are delayed, right? You are 80% of the way through this curve before it really starts to take off. So all the greatest returns are delayed. The early stuff doesn't feel that impressive. The second is on day one, the separation between 0.99 and 1.01 is very small, right? 1% better or 1% worse is very minor. So on any given day, it's very easy to dismiss, you know, what is the difference between eating something healthy for lunch or eating something unhealthy? Today, basically nothing. Your body looks the same in the mirror at the end of the night. The scale hasn't changed. You know, there's no evidence. What is the difference between the person who reads for 10 minutes today and the person who doesn't? Basically nothing. Reading for 10 minutes does not make you a genius. But the person who always goes to bed a little bit smarter than they were when they woke up, the person who always takes a little bit of time each day to learn something new, 2 or 5 or 10 years later, like that's a meaningful difference in wisdom and insight. And so you see this same pattern again and again throughout life, which is what starts out small and it's pretty insignificant, easy to dismiss on a daily basis. It compounds, it multiplies, it improves over time. And so the effects of your habits are delayed. Time will magnify whatever you feed it. So if you have good habits, time becomes your ally. And every day that goes by, you put yourself in a stronger position. If you have bad habits, time becomes your enemy. And every day that goes by, you dig the hole a little bit deeper. And so the real lesson of a chart like this, the real lesson of getting 1% better every day is not to get wrapped up in the number. It's not like, oh, is it a 1% improvement or 1.6% or whatever? It's not about that. It's an attitude. It's an approach. It's a focus, an emphasis on trajectory rather than position. You know, there's a lot of discussion about position in life. How much money's in my bank account? What's the number on the scale? What's the stock price? What are the quarterly earnings? We have all these measurements and metrics for assessing our current position. And then if the position isn't what we want it to be, we get frustrated or we feel guilty or we judge ourselves or we get annoyed or whatever. And what I'm encouraging is to say, listen, just for a minute, let's stop worrying so much about our current position and instead focus a little bit more on our current trajectory. Am I getting 1% better or 1% worse? Is the arrow pointed up and to the right or have we flatlined? So if you're on a good trajectory, all you need is time.